Growing up, both my parents always had great testimonies, but I never had my own testimony. Well, at least I didn't think so. But this whole time, God has been making my life a testimony. Now, as I said, my dad's a pastor, and he always wanted me to follow in his footsteps. But I always told myself that I wouldn't. Here I am today. When God has a plan, God has a plan. My dad has had 2 heart attacks and brain cancer, but we prayed for him, and the brain cancer is gone. Mother, she's endured 4 strokes, and she's still walking till this day. I'm going to tell you my story. It all started a few days before I was born. That's the first stroke my mother had. So I was born into a stroke. And the stroke, it caused a handicap in me. I had a kidney failure. One of my kidneys did not work at all. And the doctor said that it was impossible to cure. So for about 2 months, my family prayed, they prayed. And my kidney was cured. And that same doctor that said it would not be cured, the first time I was able to use the bathroom, it ended up being on him. To say that nothing is impossible with God. So after that, the doctor said, even though I was cured, I would never be able to play sports in my life. God proved them wrong again. Growing up, my dad was very strict on us, because I come from 8 kids. My brother's in the back in the blue shirt. That's my oldest brother. And my father was really strict on us. Haitian parents are very, very strict on their children. I don't know if you know, but he had this rule. If one person did something, everyone got a beating for it. So every day we got a beating. So as I was saying, I come from a big family. And my parents had to work a lot because they wanted a better life for us. So they would work a lot. And that would lead me to my sister, my second oldest sister, Nadine. She raised me. She raised me for most of my life, up until the age of 5. But my father was so strict, she wasn't able to handle it. She would sometimes take beatings for me. So she would get 2, which was really hard on her. And after a while, she couldn't take it no more, and she ran away from home. And when I mean she was my everything, she was everything to me. Everywhere she went to the bathroom, I was with her. She went outside, I was with her. She went to college classes, and I went with her. I thought she was my mother before I knew my mother was my mother. That's how close I was to her. And I remember the day she ran away. I was 5 years old. And I saw her packing her bags. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. And I saw her packing her bag, so I woke up, and I started packing my bag. I was like, if you're going, I'm going. And she told me that I couldn't go, so I started crying. And I remember this day like it was yesterday. She wiped my tears, and she told me to never cry. And since that day, I've never cried. But her running away, it left a void inside of me. I was a very angry child after that. I barely spoke to my brothers and sisters regardless. She was the only person I spoke to. So after she left, it left a darkness inside of me, I felt. It's like I didn't have a connection with anybody. So I remember one day, it was 1992. I was born in 1987. I was 5. I was watching the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. And I was 5, and I'm watching. And on that day, I told myself I wanted to be an Olympian. And I wanted to be a world-class sprinter. And I told myself, no matter what, that's what I'm going to be. So growing up, you tell people your dreams, and they laugh at you. They joke. But when God has a plan, God has a plan. So I was alert. The only issue is we lived in a very, very bad neighborhood at the time. So a lot of times you become a product of your environment. There's gangs, there's shootings, there's so much going on. You start to become a part of these things. And I got caught up myself. So from a young age to about high school, I was always in trouble. I got arrested my first time for stealing in 6th grade. I got a bad beating from my brother for that one. Beat me like a slave. I remember that. But I did a lot of dumb things as a kid. I remember my freshman year in high school. I was going to try out for the track team because my family, I'm not the only one that could run. We could all run. Like my brother, he was all New England, won states. He was a decorated sprinter. He was amazing. So he was one of my role models. So we was my turn to run track, being the youngest in the family. So when I got to the track team, the coach was very hard on me because he knew my history. And the way I didn't want to take nothing from nobody, so I quit the team freshman year. So I went back to doing nonsense, getting in trouble, chasing girls, just doing dumb stuff. So around the time I was a senior, I kept getting in trouble, and I was on the verge of getting kicked out of high school. And my mother told me to make a choice. She said, do something, or I'm sending you to your sister in Florida. And I didn't want to go to Florida. Not where she was, at least. So I decided I'd go back to the track team. So my first year doing track, it was a struggle because we didn't really have good coaching, but I knew I was destined for something great. So I worked hard every single day. I would practice with the team, and then I would practice after. I would work really hard every single day, and I ended up having a really good season, but I only ran that 1 year. I went all state, all FCF, I won city championships, and all that was amazing. But I was still a dumb child. I got college scholarship offers to a few schools. I never filled them out. I never did anything like that. I just let them all go to waste. I didn't really value education as a young kid. So after high school, I decided I wanted to go to Porter and Chester. It's a mechanic school. I was going to fix cars and make money off of that. My mother would harass me every day to go to school, to get an education, because that's all that was important. That's just how Haitian parents are, or most parents at least. So I decided to go to community college, and I started doing good. I actually tried for the first time, and I started making dean's lists. So I began to appreciate education. Education is very important, children. Very important. More than you can imagine. So I started appreciating it. So as I was in mechanic school, I was there for a year. Then I was in community college for about 2 years. So I had this friend that was running track at Southern Connecticut. So I saw how well he was doing and the good coaching, so I decided that's where I'm going to go, because I have dreams of being an Olympian. So I decided I transferred over there. So as I got there, I joined the team, I met the coach, I began training with the team, and it was rough. Because I ran senior year in high school, that was in 2005, and for pretty much 6 years, I didn't run. I was playing basketball and fixing cars. Because we have a basketball tournament called the CBT. My brother runs it. But I was playing basketball, fixing cars, and doing other things. So I didn't run for 6 years. But I decided I'd join the team. And as I joined the team, every single day was horrible. Like, you gotta realize, in sports, running's the one thing nobody likes to do. In track, that is it. You run, so it's a punishment every single day. And I wasn't used to that at all. So every day I'd call my brother, you can ask him, I'd cry every day. I'm like, I don't want to go back, but every day he told me to go back. Every day he told me to go back. So every day I went back. So I finally started getting the hang of things, and I was starting to do good. And I remember this day, just like it was yesterday also. I was walking to practice, and today was the first day we were going to do some like speed training, which is the fun stuff. And the coach called me, and he said that I wasn't going to be able to run for the school. They said that I exhausted my eligibility. Meaning, because of the mechanic school and the community college, they said I used up all the years I could to run for the school. So I trained for 2 months for no reason. And that hurt me a lot, because I loved running so much. About a week after that, one of my favorite uncle, he lived at my house, he passed away. That took another blow, and it hit me really hard. And 3 days after that, a close neighborhood friend of ours, me and my brothers, he hung himself. And then a week after that, another friend of mine died of heart failure. And at that time, I had a girl that I was with, and I would go to her for my problems, but since she didn't feel like I was good enough for her, so she also left me. So at that point in time, I lost everything. I lost track, I lost family, I lost friends, I lost love. I lost everything. Usually when I see these situations, I see people, they give up on God, and they blame God for these situations. But the way my family raised me, in these tough situations, like when there's a stroke, or when there's a heart attack, you pull together and you pray. And you turn to God. So I turned to God. I was depressed, don't get me wrong. Because this was a horrible situation. All these things happened. But I still turned to God, and I put everything into running. everything I had. Every single day I felt like I was going to die. I wasn't training with the team, I was training by myself. And I started attending open meets. And I was working so hard. And at these open meets, I started racing like a lot of good runners in the country. And I was beating them. So everybody's like, who am I? Because no one's heard of me before. And I was beating the runners. I started beating the runners from the school. So then the coach felt he was going to try to get me back now. Because at first they didn't value me. But when I started beating his guys, he was like, I got to have you back. So then, as they tried to get me back, I had to have 24 credits of residency. I remember this. And I had 18 because I didn't know about the rule. And the coach told me last minute, so I had to take 2 summer classes. And the summer classes had nothing to do with my major. So this was no financial aid. Both of my parents are on disability. And I'm taking 2 classes for no reason, just to run track. I wasn't able to pass these classes at all. The classes were too hard. So that was another year going into the summer that I was told that I was not going to be able to run. So I was almost lost at this point. And as I was lost, God made a way for me. I had a friend that used to run for the school, and he told me he was getting back into running, and he was going to join the track club. And he told me about the track club. And this track club is the best track club in the world, one of the best in the world. Top 5 in the world. So then I asked him who's the coach, and he told me the coach. And I was like, I gotta speak to him. He was like, talk to him on Facebook, but you're probably not gonna make the team, you're not good enough. So I went to the coach, I went on Facebook every day for about 3 weeks. I bothered this man every single day. Night and day, I would never leave him alone. And he kept telling me, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not fast enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And every day I bothered him, I'm very persistent. Every day I bothered him. Every day I bothered him. Because I knew I had a dream and I wasn't going to let it go. Every day I bothered him. And after a while, he was like, all right, I'll give you a chance. He said, it's not because you're good. He said, I can tell that you want it more than most people do. And he said, you only have 1 year of track. So he said, I'm going to make something of you. So that year, I joined that track club. And that was the hardest year of my life. So every morning, I wake up at 7 o'clock. Because every week, we had to do 4,000 push-ups and 4,000 sit-ups. So that's 600 every single day. So I wake up at 7, I do 200, I go to class at 8, I go to class from 8 to 12, I take the train to Stanford, then I drive to New York, I drive to New Jersey, I get there by 5, I train till 8, and I be doing push-ups while we work out throughout the whole day, even in the hallway sometimes, so I can hit my 600 every day. I train, almost die every single day. And then I drive back home, take the train, I get home, I get back to school every day at around 11 or 12. So the day would start at 7 and end at 12 every single day. And then I have to study. And this was every day for about 4 to 5 months. But I knew God made a way for me. So I was blessed to be in that position. It was tough, but I wasn't worried about that anymore. God was making a way for me. So the season began, and as he said before, it was an amazing season. We ran the 4th fastest time in the world for indoor. Outdoor in Florida, we ran the 2nd fastest time in the world. Then we ran the 9th fastest time in the world, and the 30th. And coming from my point of view, I was a nobody. I'm the last of my family. In my mind, I've always been nothing. Because everybody in my family, all the kids have always been successful, and I've always been that one that just drags along. So in my mind, I never thought I was much. So when God gave me this opportunity, I tried my best to make the best of it. Because in my mind, I knew God had a plan for me. So recently, I was recruited to run for my country in Haiti, to run in Mexico to represent us in the Caribbean Championships. And I did pretty well. Compared to all the Olympians that I was around, I did very well. And even one of the runners that was there, it was a Jamaican runner. We were sitting at a table, and he said, you see that kid right there? And everybody started looking at me. And I was looking, I was like, who's he talking about? He was like, you. He said, I seen this kid every single day last year, training by himself. He told me he was going to make it to this team, and he made it. He said, if that's not God, I don't know what is. in God, nothing's impossible. You're going to have the people that are going to tell you you're crazy. They're going to criticize you. They're going to tell you they're stupid. They're going to say a lot of things to you. I've heard a lot. Even I remember one time, here's a story for you. Somebody real close to me. I remember recently I raced the best runner from my country, the record holder. And I remember I beat him and I was so excited. And I couldn't wait to tell anybody. So I told this person that was close to me, I was like, I beat the best person from the country. So I was excited. I was like, I can't believe it. And then the person looked at me, they said, you beat him? He must not be that good. So I was like, what does that mean about me? So that's what I realized about life. People are going to doubt you, but as long as you have God, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. So no matter what. So believe in yourself and believe in God, and nothing's impossible. Thank you.